I want to share with you 10 things, 10 powerful declarations that you must tell yourself every morning. Not suggestions, mind you, but absolute requirements if you're serious about designing a life that matters. These aren't just feel-good phrases or positive thinking platitudes. These are the fundamental truths that when embraced and internalized will transform not just your mornings, but your entire existence. The first thing you must tell yourself every morning is this: today I am in complete control of my response to everything that happens to me. Now let me be clear about something. I'm not saying you're in control of everything that happens to you. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, and some of them come at you fast and hard. You can't control the weather, you can't control the economy, you can't control what other people say or do. But here's what you absolutely can control, and this is where your power lies. You can control your response to everything. You see, between every stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space lies your freedom, your power to choose. Most people react automatically. Something happens and boom, they respond based on emotion, based on conditioning, based on habit. But successful people have learned to pause in that space and ask themselves, how do I want to respond to this? What response will serve me best? What response will move me closer to my goals rather than further away from them? When you wake up and declare to yourself that you are in complete control of your response, you're taking ownership of your life. You're saying that regardless of what the day brings, you're going to choose your attitude, you're going to choose your actions, you're going to choose your words. You're refusing to be a victim of circumstances and instead choosing to be the architect of your experience. This leads us naturally to the second thing you must tell yourself every morning: I am responsible for my own life and happiness. Responsibility is not a burden, it's a privilege. It's the price of admission to the club of people who actually get to design their own destiny. When you truly accept responsibility for your life, something magical happens. You stop blaming. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for someone else to come along and fix your problems or make you happy. Most people spend their lives in a state of blame. They blame their parents for how they were raised. They blame their spouse for their marital problems. They blame their boss for their career struggles. They blame the government for their financial situation. They blame the weather for their mood. And while they're busy pointing fingers at everyone and everything else, their life is slipping away day by day, moment by moment. But when you wake up and tell yourself, I am responsible for my own life and happiness, you're making a powerful declaration. You're saying that if something isn't working in your life, you're going to change it. If you're not happy, you're going to do something about it. If you're not where you want to be, you're going to chart a course to get there. You're taking the wheel of your life instead of being a passenger hoping someone else will drive you to where you want to go. Now, let me tell you the third thing you must declare to yourself every morning: my past does not define my future. This one is crucial because so many people are prisoners of their own history. They look at their past failures, their past mistakes, their past limitations, and they use them as evidence for why they can't succeed in the future. They say things like, I've never been good with money, or I'm not a morning person, or success just isn't in my DNA. But here's what I want you to understand: your past is not your future unless you live there. Your biography is not your destiny unless you make it so. Every single day you have the opportunity to begin again, to write a new chapter, to become a new version of yourself. The person you were yesterday, with all their limitations and failures, doesn't have to be the person you are today. When you tell yourself that your past does not define your future, you're giving yourself permission to grow, to change, to become more than you've ever been before. You're refusing to be limited by old patterns, old beliefs, old results. You're opening yourself up to new possibilities, new opportunities, new versions of who you can become. This connects directly to the fourth morning declaration: I am constantly growing and improving. Growth is not automatic. Just because you get older doesn't mean you get better. Just because time passes doesn't mean you're making progress. Growth requires intentionality. It requires a commitment to becoming more today than you were yesterday. When you wake up with the mindset that you are constantly growing and improving, you approach every experience as a learning opportunity. Mistakes become lessons. Challenges become training grounds. Setbacks become setups for comebacks. You stop seeing yourself as a finished product and start seeing yourself as a work in progress, always evolving, always developing, always expanding your capabilities. This growth mindset changes everything. Instead of avoiding challenges because you might fail, you welcome them because you know they'll help you grow. Instead of being threatened by the success of others, you're inspired by it because you know that if they can do it, you can learn to do it too. Instead of settling for where you are, you're always pushing toward where you could be. The fifth thing you must tell yourself every morning builds on this foundation. I attract opportunities by being prepared and staying alert. Opportunity doesn't knock on doors randomly. It seeks out those who are prepared to recognize it and act on it. Most people complain that they never get any breaks, but the truth is breaks are coming their way all the time. They just don't see them because they're not prepared, they're not looking, they're not positioned to take advantage. When you declare that you attract opportunities by being prepared and staying alert, you're committing to a lifestyle of readiness. You're saying that you're going to develop the skills, knowledge, and mindset necessary to recognize and seize the chances that come your way. You're going to stay curious, stay learning, stay growing so that when opportunity presents itself, you're ready. Preparation is what turns opportunity into success. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. But most people want to skip the preparation part. They want the opportunity without the investment, the harvest without the planting, the reward without the work. But that's not how success works. Success requires that you prepare yourself in advance of your opportunities. This preparation mindset leads us to the 6th morning declaration, my education and personal development are my highest priorities. In a rapidly changing world, your ability to learn and adapt is your greatest asset. The skills that got you where you are today won't be sufficient to take you where you want to go tomorrow. The knowledge you have now will become obsolete if you don't continue to update and upgrade it. When you make education and personal development your highest priorities, you're investing in the one asset that can never be taken away from you, your mind. You can lose your job, you can lose your money, you can lose your possessions, but no one can take away what you know and who you've become. Your education, your skills, your personal development, these are the things that make you valuable, that make you indispensable, that make you successful. But here's what most people don't understand. Education doesn't stop when you leave school. In fact, that's when your real education begins. The most successful people I know are lifelong learners. They read voraciously, they attend seminars, they seek out mentors, they invest in their personal development like their life depends on it, because it does. The 7th thing you must tell yourself every morning is, I choose to focus on solutions, not problems. This is a game changer because most people are problem focused instead of solution focused. They spend their energy and attention on what's wrong instead of on what could be right. They talk about their problems, they think about their problems, they worry about their problems, and guess what? Their problems grow. But when you choose to focus on solutions, something remarkable happens. Your mind becomes a solution-finding machine. Instead of being overwhelmed by challenges, you become energized by possibilities. Instead of being paralyzed by obstacles, you become motivated by opportunities to overcome them. Solution-focused people don't ignore problems, but they don't dwell on them either. They acknowledge the problem just long enough to understand it, and then they immediately shift their focus to finding ways to solve it. They ask different questions. Instead of why is this happening to me, they ask how can I turn this around. Instead of what's wrong here, they ask what needs to be done. This solution focus is what separates leaders from followers, entrepreneurs from employees, winners from whiners. When others see problems, solution-focused people see opportunities. When others see obstacles, they see challenges to overcome. When others see reasons to quit, they see reasons to get creative. The 8th morning declaration flows naturally from this, I am building something meaningful with my life. This is about purpose, about legacy, about making your life count for something more than just personal pleasure or comfort. When you wake up each morning with the conviction that you're building something meaningful, you're connecting your daily actions to a larger purpose. Most people drift through life without any real sense of purpose. They go through the motions, they do what's expected, they follow the crowd, but they're not building anything significant. They're not creating anything lasting. They're not making a meaningful contribution. And at the end of their lives, they look back with regret, wondering what might have been if they had lived more intentionally. But when you tell yourself that you're building something meaningful, every day becomes important. Every decision matters. Every action is either building toward your purpose or tearing away from it. You stop wasting time on trivial pursuits and start investing your energy in activities that align with your values and contribute to your larger mission. Building something meaningful doesn't necessarily mean you have to change the world, although you might. It means that your life has direction, that your efforts are focused, that you're working towards something that matters to you and potentially to others. It means you're living intentionally rather than accidentally. The ninth thing you must declare to yourself every morning is, I am grateful for what I have while working for what I want. Gratitude is the foundation of all abundance. When you're grateful for what you have, you're in a position to receive more. When you're ungrateful, when you focus on what you lack, you actually repel the very things you're trying to attract. But gratitude alone isn't enough. Some people use gratitude as an excuse for complacency. They're grateful for what they have, which is good, but they stop striving for more, which is limiting. The key is to be grateful for where you are while working toward where you want to be. It's about appreciating the journey while staying focused on the destination. When you combine gratitude with ambition, you create a powerful dynamic. You're content but not complacent. You're satisfied but not settled. You appreciate what you have while still working to expand and improve your circumstances. This balance keeps you positive and motivated at the same time. Gratitude also shifts your focus from what you lack to what you possess. Most people wake up thinking about what they don't have, what they need, what's missing from their lives. But grateful people wake up thinking about their blessings, their opportunities, their advantages. This positive focus creates positive energy, which attracts positive results. Now we come to the 10th and final thing you must tell yourself every morning. Today is an opportunity to become the person I'm meant to be. This is the culmination of all the previous declarations because it's about identity, about becoming, about the ongoing process of transforming into your best self. Most people think of personal development as something you do, but it's really about something you become. It's not just about acquiring new skills or knowledge, although those are important. It's about evolving into a better version of yourself day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment. When you wake up with the understanding that today is an opportunity to become the person you're meant to be, you approach the day with intentionality. You ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? How do I want to show up? What character qualities do I want to demonstrate? What legacy do I want to build with today's choices? This perspective transforms ordinary moments into opportunities for growth. A difficult conversation becomes a chance to practice patience and understanding. A challenging project becomes an opportunity to develop persistence and problem-solving skills. A setback becomes a test of your resilience and character. The person you're meant to be isn't some distant, unattainable ideal. It's the person you can choose to be right now, today, in this moment. Every day you have the opportunity to close the gap between who you are and who you're capable of becoming. Every morning is a fresh start, a new beginning, a chance to become more. Now let me bring all of these declarations together because they're not meant to be isolated thoughts, but rather interconnected principles that work together to create a powerful morning ritual and mindset. When you wake up and remind yourself that you're in control of your response to everything that happens, you're setting the foundation for personal power. When you accept responsibility for your life and happiness, you're claiming that power. When you refuse to let your past define your future, you're freeing yourself to use that power. When you commit to constant growth and improvement, you're sharpening that power. When you stay prepared and alert for opportunities, you're positioning yourself to use that power effectively. When you make education and personal development your priorities, you're expanding that power. When you focus on solutions instead of problems, you're directing that power, constructing them. When you build something meaningful with your life, you're using that power purposefully. When you combine gratitude with ambition, you're sustaining that power with positive energy. And when you see each day as an opportunity to become who you're meant to be, you're fulfilling the ultimate purpose of that power, the transformation of yourself, and through yourself, the transformation of your world. These 10 declarations are not magic formulas. They're not going to transform your life overnight. But if you make them part of your morning routine, if you say them with conviction and mean them with your heart, if you let them guide your thoughts and actions throughout the day, they will begin to reshape your reality from the inside out. You see, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself and the statements you make to yourself. Most people ask terrible questions and make defeating statements. They ask, why does this always happen to me? And they tell themselves, I'm just not good at this. But successful people ask empowering questions and make empowering statements. They ask, how can I turn this around? And they tell themselves, I can learn to do anything I set my mind to. The morning is the most important time of day because it sets the tone for everything that follows. If you start your day with defeat, discouragement, and negativity, you're programming yourself for a day of struggle. But if you start your day with these powerful declarations, you're programming yourself for success. But here's what you must understand. Saying these things once won't do it. You have to make this a ritual, a habit, a non-negotiable part of your morning routine. Just like you brush your teeth every morning to maintain your dental health, you must feed your mind these positive declarations every morning to maintain your mental and emotional health. Repetition is the mother of skill, and it's also the mother of belief. When you repeat these declarations day after day, they begin to sink into your subconscious mind. They become part of your internal programming. They shape your automatic thoughts and responses. What starts as conscious effort becomes unconscious habit. And what starts as conscious choice becomes automatic behavior. Most people underestimate the power of their self-talk. They don't realize that they're constantly programming themselves with their internal dialogue. Every thought you think, every word you speak to yourself, every declaration you make is either moving you towards success or away from it. There's no neutral ground in the realm of self-communication. When you take control of your morning declarations, you're taking control of your mental and emotional programming. You're choosing to install success software instead of failure software. You're deciding to be your own best coach instead of your own worst critic. You're electing to start each day with empowerment instead of discouragement. But let me warn you about something. When you start making these declarations, your old programming is going to fight back. Your inner critic is going to say, this is silly, this isn't going to work. Who are you kidding? That's normal, that's expected. That's just your old programming trying to maintain its dominance over your life. Don't listen to that voice. Keep making your declarations with conviction, even if you don't feel them at first. Fake it until you make it, as they say. Act as if these declarations are true until they become true. Speak them with authority, even if you don't feel authoritative. Believe them with your mind, even if your emotions haven't caught up yet. Here's what I know after decades of studying success and working with successful people. Your emotions follow your actions, not the other way around. You don't have to feel motivated to act motivated. You don't have to feel confident to act confident. You don't have to feel positive to speak positively. When you act the way you want to feel, eventually you'll feel the way you're acting. This is why these morning declarations are so powerful. They're not just words, they're actions. They're not just thoughts, they're decisions. They're not just hopes, they're declarations of intent. When you speak them, you're not just expressing how you feel, you're deciding how you're going to be. The successful life is built on successful days, and successful days begin with successful mornings, and successful mornings begin with successful self-talk. Everything else flows from that foundation. Your thoughts create your feelings drive your actions produce your results, and your results shape your destiny. If you want to change your results, you have to change your actions. If you want to change your actions, you have to change your feelings. If you want to change your feelings, you have to change your thoughts. And if you want to change your thoughts, you have to change what you're saying to yourself, especially in those crucial morning moments when your mind is most receptive to programming. These 10 declarations I've shared with you are tools for reshaping your internal dialogue, and through that, reshaping your entire life. But like any tools, they only work if you use them. You can't just read about them or think about them or admire them from a distance. You have to pick them up and use them day after day, morning after day, until they become as natural as breathing. Remember, success is not an accident. It's not luck. It's not a matter of being in the right place at the right time, although timing can be important. Success is the result of doing certain things in a certain way consistently over time. And one of those things is programming your mind for success through empowering self-talk. The conversation you have with yourself is the most important conversation you'll ever have because it never ends. From the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep. And even in your dreams, you're talking to yourself.